Donald Trump wants to bring back firing squads, do away with regulations that protect you and me, and turn America into a hellscape on his way out of office. Check this out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. So, some of the stuff that Trump is doing, we talked yesterday about, and Rachel Maddow, God bless her, twice in a row has been talking about something nobody else on television is discussing. Trump shutting down the program that helps us and Europe keep track of basically Russian troop movements, although it could be any renegade country. I mean, if Viktor Orban in Hungary decides to go nuts, we would know about it because of this Open Skies Treaty. Trump not only pulls us out of the treaty, but orders the planes destroyed. I mean, it's bizarre. Meanwhile, he's trying to burn down the civil service. He's got, over at the Office of Management and Budget, see, if you're a civil servant, you are protected. It's almost like being a union member. There are certain rules for the civil service. You can't just, a president or an administration can't just fire people in the civil service because they don't like them or they don't like their politics. They can only fire them for cause that has to do with job performance, or, being a, if they went out and shot somebody or what, committing a crime, something like that. But 88% of the workers at the Office of Management and Budget, 425 people, are now in the crosshairs. Donald Trump is trying to reclassify them under what's called Schedule F, which means that they can be immediately fired. And then they will be replaced by people who are not Schedule F, which means that they will be replaced by Trump toadies who then have civil service protection and can't be fired by Joe Biden. And it's not just the OMB where he's doing this. He's doing this at agency after agency and, basically trying to burn down the country on his way out. And whether he's doing it because, President Putin told him to, or whether he's doing it because Mohammed bin Salman thought it was a good idea, or whether he's doing it because he just hates us because we didn't reelect him, or whether he's doing it because he's just a vicious, crazed maniac, God only knows. But he's doing it. Senator Ron Wyden talking about what Steve Mnuchin is trying to do, pulling back the $455 billion in COVID relief that is being used by the Fed to leverage these giant loans that are keeping, our airlines flying and things like that. Wyden says as the economy backslides, Secretary Mnuchin is engaged in economic sabotage and trying to tie the Biden administration's hands. Donald Trump is trying to bring back the firing squad. There's a few people on federal death row right now. He's trying to hurry up their executions. Joe Biden is a good Catholic, and as such, he is personally pro-life, and that means he is opposed to the death penalty. In fact, prior to 1980, when the Protestant televangelists hooked up with Ronald Reagan and Bush the Elder, who were both advocates of women having the right to make the choice to have an abortion. Reagan bragged about having signed legislation that expanded abortion rights in California when he was running, or when he was governor. And George Herbert Walker Bush was on the board of Planned Parenthood, or a big supporter of Planned Parenthood, had written fundraising letters for them. He and his wife had worked with them for years and years. But both of them suddenly became anti-abortion in 1980 because they cut this deal with Jerry Falwell and Ralph Reed and the so-called, and Pat Robertson, the so-called religious right. But prior to that, the right to life movement in the United States, and this went back to the 1800s. The right to life movement in the United States was the anti-death penalty movement. That's what they called themselves. The people who opposed capital punishment were called right to lifers. And it was called the right to life movement. So anyhow, what Trump is trying to do right now is he's trying to push through first of all, he's trying to kill as many people as he can, execute as many federal prisoners as possible. I am convinced this is a man who gets great pleasure when people die. I just can't come up with any other explanation for some of his behavior, including the way that he's watching as Americans die of COVID, number one. But number two, he's also trying to push through a regulation that would bring back firing squads. Let's shoot them. Honest to God, bring back the firing squads. He's also trying to weaken rules that protect you and me. For example, the Department of Agriculture right now has just notified food safety groups that they're going to put through a regulatory change to speed up the processing lines in chicken processing plants, which will lead to more worker injuries and will make it harder to stop things like salmonella. I mean, and it just goes on and on and on. There's a great piece over at Raw Story. It's actually a reprint from ProPublica, so actually you might want to just go to ProPublica.org and check it out. But it's also at Raw Story. The headline is Donald Trump is racing to weaken several laws and implement other last-minute policies before January 20th. This is just obscene. And then finally, U.S. aims to put pressure on banks to keep up fossil fuel lending. This from the Financial Times. U.S. banks that decide to stop lending to fossil fuel businesses could face penalties under a new rule proposed by the outgoing Trump administration. The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency is proposing the rule. In the past 12 months, banks including Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan Chase, TD Bank, and Deutsche Bank have said they will no longer finance new drilling projects in the Arctic, in Anwar. And, as a result of basically taking a moral position. And the Trump administration is saying, okay, you guys, you do that, we will punish you. It's mind-boggling. It's just mind-boggling.